Good morning. Today in English in class 11, we continue the lesson Albert Einstein at school. And just in a few words to recall, we had come to know that Albert Einstein had gone to visit the doctor, Dr. Ernest, and the appointment had been fixed by his friend Yuri. And the doctor had already been informed about Albert's case and the difficulties that he faced. So, when Albert was asked by the doctor what his future plans would be like, so he told him that he planned to go back to Milan and join a college or institute over there. Dr. Ernest did not know him so well, so he was not very sure whether his plan would materialize or not. But in any case, he gave him the medical certificate stating that he was suffering from nervous breakdown and would not be in a position or condition to attend school for the next 6 months. Albert was extremely happy and grateful to the doctor, thanked him, and gave a treat to his friend Yuri, even though he did not have any spare money as asked by the doctor. Now, isn't it wonderful? He said after showing Yuri the certificate. So Albert was so overwhelmed with joy. He was delighted, he was elated that finally he was able to get the medical certificate with the help of which he would be able to leave the school. Yes, it's fine, Yuri agreed. So Yuri was happy to see Albert happy. 6 months is a good period. So Yuri also seemed to be quite happy and satisfied and contented that the doctor had stated that 6 months he would not be able to attend the school. This way you won't actually be leaving the school. So if the worst comes to the worst, you will be able to come back and carry on for your diploma. Now Yuri was more far-sighted. Albert was delighted and excited, no doubt, because he had the opportunity to leave the school. But Yuri was far-sighted and he was able to understand that 6 months was a fairly long time for him. That is, if within the 6 months he was able to get admission into a college, that would be absolutely fine. Just in case his plan did not materialize or he was not able to get admission into the college over there, he could return. You will be able to come back. That means you will be able to return to the school and carry on for your diploma. That means your education could continue over here. You could resume your education if within the 6 months you are not able to get admission into the college over there. I'll never go back to that place, Albert assured him. One thing was very sure. Albert was definite, he was certain that he would never return to the place. I'm going to take this certificate to the head teacher tomorrow, and that will be the end of it. He says that he will never think of ever coming back. He has no plans at all. He has no intention of returning to the place at all. The next morning, he would take the certificate and present it to the head teacher, and that will be the end of it. That will be the end of it. That means that he would be allowed to leave the school and nobody would have any objection. Don't forget to get a reference in writing from your mathematics teacher first, Yuri reminded him. So Yuri explained and reminded him and suggested that before he went to meet the head teacher, he should take a reference, that is a letter in writing, in which the teacher would be able to give him a good reference and praise the qualities of Albert. So that is what he suggested, that before he went to the head teacher, he should go to the maths teacher and take a letter of reference, a letter of recommendation from the mathematics teacher. Mr. Coach willingly gave Albert the reference he wanted. That is, and of course, Mr. Coach was extremely happy with his performance. He was a brilliant student. He was extremely good in maths, and he was the only teacher who was pleased with his performance. So he most willingly and gladly gave him the reference. If I say I can't teach you anymore, and probably you'll soon be able to teach me. Will that be all right?" he asked. That means he was so appreciating. He appreciated Albert so much, and in fact complimented him and appreciated him and said that I can't teach you anymore because he's already learned whatever that he could, and maybe in due course of time he will be able to teach him. So he asked Albert that would that be all right for him to write. "That's saying too much, sir," said Albert. Albert was modest. How modest? That means no doubt he was extremely good at maths. No doubt he performed brilliantly in maths. But even when the teacher said that, he felt very embarrassed and said that that was too much for him to state. "It's only the truth. But all right," I'll put it more seriously. He says it is a truth. That means it is a fact that Albert had already learned whatever he could at that level. In fact, he had learned more than that also. So it was not untrue. It was still a glowing reference. Glowing reference, that means it was a good reference which by means of which he was being praised for the qualities that he possessed. So it was a glowing reference. That means it was a letter of recommendation, recommending him, praising and appreciating the qualities and attributes that he possessed. And Mr. Coach made the point that Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. That means that the teacher complimented him, the teacher appreciated him and was well aware that he was extremely good, that he had learned whatever that he could and was so capable of entering a college straight away. "I'm sorry you're leaving us, although you're wasting your time in my class," he said. The teacher was naturally upset to know that he was leaving and leaving the place and leaving all of them also. But he also realized that he was wasting his time because he had already learned whatever that he could in maths, of course. So that's why he said that he seemed to be wasting his time and it was better for him to enter a college. "It's almost the only class where I'm not wasting my time." So naturally, Albert enjoyed his mathematics class, and he said that is perhaps the only class where he felt that he was learning and that it was not wasting his time. "But how did you know I'm leaving, sir?" And now he questioned when the teacher asked him that how did he know, because Albert so far has not mentioned to him that he intended to leave. So he questioned him that how did he know that he was leaving. "You wouldn't have asked me for this reference otherwise." That is, naturally the teacher was older and understood that he intended to leave. Albert was not aware, of course, but he says that that is the reason why he had asked him for a letter or for this reference. That is how the teacher had understood. He says he did not. He says that is the reason why you have asked me for this reference. "I thought you'd wonder." So he says, so wonder means think out here. He says, I was thinking what he would understand. There's nothing to wonder about Einstein. That means there's nothing to contemplate over. There's nothing to think about. I knew you were going to leave before you knew yourself. That is, before Albert had made up his mind, had resolved that he was going to leave, the teacher already was aware that he intended to that he was going to leave. Albert was puzzled. Now, because he does not know, he was puzzled, he was confused, he did not know what to think of it. But what did the teacher mean? That meant what the teacher had meant when he spoke those words. He soon found out, that is, that the head teacher was going to call him now. Before he had a chance to ask for an interview with the head teacher, he was summoned to the head's room. And he soon found out, that means he came to know why the teacher had spoken those words. He says that before he could ask to go and meet the head teacher, he was summoned, he was called by the head teacher to come and meet him. "Well, it saves me the trouble of having to wait an hour or two outside," he thought. So he felt that it was much better that he was called by the head teacher. Otherwise, maybe he would have to wait outside his room for maybe an hour or two, maybe. So he felt that that would save a lot of his time. Thank you.